From the University of Kansas, you're watching KUJH News.
Good afternoon and thank you for joining us. I'm Kayla Schartz with your Tuesday News. A KU student was allegedly attacked on campus early Sunday morning. A 20-year-old says she was sexually assaulted after accepting a ride from a stranger before 3 a.m. The woman got into the vehicle near 14th in Ohio. The car then headed west on Jayhawk Boulevard and south on Naismith Drive. She was dropped off at Learned Hall. 6 sexual offenses, including 1 rape, have been reported at KU from 2010 to 2012. However, KU Public Safety says many cases go unreported. 1 in 5 women will be the victim of a sexual crime while in college, according to the CDC. Jennifer Brooks says it is important to have a protection plan when you go out.
We always tell people when they get together for the night to go out before going out, to recognize who you're with, to stay with the people who you're with, to always have your cell phones with you, have them charged, make sure you have the other people's phone numbers, and make a commitment throughout the night to continue to check on each other and make sure you're still together.
Brooks says there were about 11 sexual assault complaints reported at KU in 2013. The Jayhawkers took to the streets today to protest their disqualification from the Student Senate election. The coalition gathered outside of Strong Hall holding signs. While there were few Jayhawkers in attendance, Jayhawkers presidential candidate MacKenzie Oatman hopes they raised awareness of their situation.
So we're going to keep fighting and raising awareness and doing our best to represent students in the upcoming year like we were elected to do so.
A KU police officer stopped by the protest after someone filed a complaint. The protest then moved to Stauffer Flint Hall. A $22 million rec center has been approved in Lawrence. KUJH News reporter Thomas Hoppo has more on the story.
Lawrence is growing, things are changing, but are some things being left behind? With new developments in the city, some citizens feel that other things are being neglected.
In any small town, there are 2 sides of the fence, the forgotten and the developing. The west side of Lawrence has been growing the last 10 years. With the development of Rock Chalk Park, opportunities have risen. According to Parks and Recs, they are going to develop a new center adjacent to the track. The budget for this is over $22 million. But where did this funding come from?
Funding has actually came from the '94 sales tax. The Recreation Department is actually funded by fees and charges and sales tax.
But what about the other centers? Controversy erupted in Lawrence when an article in the LJ World was published. The article said that donation boxes at the other rec centers warned of a lack of funding.
I rarely ever see people putting money in the box.
It's not like we don't have money to improve. We budget every year for stuff.
The East Lawrence Rec Center is nowhere near $22 million, but it's a place the community relies on and where the door is always open to everyone and anyone. Some people who use the facilities feel that the city could have spared some of the funding their way.
You know, we could always use a little bit of extra money around here for maybe some new pool tables once in a while.
Probably more money could have been put into, more in town in the inner city.
Is this place forgotten? The equipment is scarce, the rooms small, and donations are seldom. However, it's not forgotten for some.
Well, yeah, there's always a little extra you could do at the other facilities.
This place is filled with kids, but where are the donations to improve this place for them? The new rec center received a huge donation.
There was a $2 million donation from the Assist Foundation.
The Assist Foundation, what is that?
Well, that's Bill Self is that's his group.
Some funding come from Parks and Recs, but only if something breaks or needs to be replaced. Donations are truly needed to help this rec center grow.
I guess we don't think about it that way. We look at it as a free facility to come and spend time in, and probably need to figure out a better way to help fund these facilities.
Parks and Recs are assuring that things aren't being left behind. They are making sure to take care of other things before developing new ideas. For KUJH News, I'm Thomas Hoppo.
Thank you very much, Thomas. A police chase on the KU campus led to a crash near JRP yesterday. Reports of the crash popped up on Twitter around 3:30. After being spotted near 9th and Emory, the suspect sped off and crashed near JRP less than 30 seconds later, according to the Lawrence Police Department. This was actually the second car the suspect, Donald Rodney Rayton Jr., stole. Early Monday morning, he took a car and crashed it near the Legends Place apartment complex on West 24th Street. He escaped police on foot. We just got off the phone with the Lawrence District Attorney's Office. They told us Rayton is charged with theft, criminal damage to property, eluding police, and driving on a suspended license. Let's take a look at your weather now. At 7 a.m. tomorrow, you'll be looking at 70 degrees with mostly sunny skies. And as we head towards noon, we will be up to 81 degrees with sunny skies, but breezy winds at 19 miles per hour. At 6 p.m., we'll be looking at 84 degrees, but we will be dry. That will change on Thursday, though, when we will have a high of 74, but the potential for severe thunderstorms. There is a 70% chance of rain that day. On Friday, we'll be looking at a high of 73 with only a 10% chance of rain, so hopefully drying up after a wet day on Thursday. GRUKU will take office tomorrow, but the Jayhawkers are still fighting. After the break, Student Body Vice President-elect Miranda Wagner joins me in the studio. Stay with us. Welcome back. It has been a long process, but GRUKU is set to take office tomorrow at the Joint Senate meeting. Joining me now is Student Body Vice President-elect Miranda Wagner of GRUKU. Hi, Miranda. Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thank you so much.
So GRUKU is scheduled to take office tomorrow, but Jayhawkers were out on campus today protesting the election results. What are your thoughts on that?
Honestly, when I first heard that, I kind of had to chuckle to myself. This semester, I was part of the committee that did the review on the Code of Rights and Responsibilities for students, and we actually specifically made sure that freedom to protest was still included this year, so I kind of had to laugh when I reflected on that. But it's definitely been kind of interesting. I think it's totally their right to do that. On the other side of that, we have a lot of Jayhawkers who have been on board with moving forward in Senate. It's been very encouraging to me. In fact, Morgan and I just had all of our executive interviews this weekend and yesterday, and we interviewed people from all three coalitions who applied to be on our exec staff. So that's been very encouraging to me. We've definitely been trying very hard to focus on the positive and how we're all going to move forward together.
And how excited are you to be taking office finally tomorrow?
Very excited, that's for sure. Obviously, been very busy. I think that's been taking up more of my consciousness, and hopefully tomorrow night, once it's all said and done, I'll finally take a moment to breathe and appreciate everything that has happened over the last several weeks.
Understandable. And so GRUKU only received about a third of the vote, whereas Jayhawkers received roughly 2/3. How did you feel about that?
Right, it was a little disappointing to hear, obviously. I've been trying to kind of check myself and remember that this entire election, it was so skewed and kind of everything, how it unfolded. Truly, we will never know how the vote should have looked, how it would have looked if the situation was different, which is kind of unfortunate. And I've just been taking pride in knowing the fact that my entire team ran with integrity and that we, fought hard and we did what we could at the end.
And so the violations have been kind of chalked up to, that maybe that's why they won. Do you think that, like a Chipotle burrito possibly could have resulted in, 2/3 of the vote?
Well, that's definitely an oversimplification, that's for sure. I think the greater picture to look at is why we had these rules in place in the first place. Last year there was a mandate from the student body for election reform, and that is what we all came into office with the intent to follow through on. And everybody people who are on all three coalitions affirmed that yes, these rules are what we should have, and they voted on these rules and approved them, and they approved the consequences. So, maybe we've all, owned up to maybe we should go back and look at these rules critically, but the fact of the matter is what happened is what we all agreed should happen moving forward. I wouldn't say that they got that vote just because they had some Chipotle burritos. Obviously, they ran a strong campaign besides that. And I think also you have to acknowledge there's a lot of people on their team that were not involved with what happened there.
Well, it will be interesting to see how the Joint Senate meeting goes tomorrow. We wish you and GRUKU the best of luck in your campaign. Thanks for joining me, Miranda. KUJH will be live streaming the Joint Senate meeting tomorrow night. To find out when coverage starts, check Twitter at KUJH-TV. The meeting will be in Alderson Auditorium at the Kansas Union. That does it for your Tuesday news. For the latest breaking news, please visit Canton.com. For KUJH News, I'm Kayla Schartz. Have a good night.